What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the 5-Minute Debate. Today, I am joined by very special guest, TV personality, YouTube personality, reception perception personality, the one and only James Koh. How's it going, man?
What's up, dude? It's great to be part of the program, and yeah, I love what you guys got going on, man.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to have you. If you guys aren't familiar with James, get familiar right now. If you're especially for fantasy football, you can catch him over on YouTube. And then, as always, he is working with Matt Harmon on Reception Perception. They have a great thing going on over there. If you haven't checked that out, definitely check it out.
And I'll also say, which is so funny, like, and I kind of sort of get it, like, a lot of folks don't have DirecTV, but if you do, and you've got Red Zone, we've got a great show on there. It's called Fantasy Zone, and it's basically Red Zone, except it's just a cast of characters, and we just talk about fantasy football. It's like we literally show you every single touchdown, every single game, and we approach it like Red Zone, but then we just start talking about like air yards and like target share and like doing all of those things related to fantasy football, man. So no, it's a great show. And it's really interesting because so many people don't know about it, but then whenever they find it, they're like, "Oh my God, this show is really, really good."
Basically,
that's what it is.
That sounds, first of all, fantastic. That is essentially what I do when I just sit on my couch and watch like ESPN Fantasy Cast, and I'm like, all right, he caught a pass. He caught a pass. And now that's perfect. You don't have to do it by yourself. I know.
And it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Like, it's me, it's the guru John Hansen, who is a genius too. And unlike myself, I'm just an idiot. And I just like, I'm there for like comic relief, you know, and like John Hansen's actually doing the heavy lifting or whatever.
I know that is fantastic. So absolutely, guys, you know, we got football. Yes. We're recording this on Thursday night. We got football tonight. So the season is here. This is the first ever 5-minute debate that's actually happening after a football game. So,
yeah, buddy.
Again, this is coming out Friday. Again, you guys are watching it. So I'm excited. Let's get into it. Today we are talking CEH versus DAndre Swift for the 2021 season. I am taking DAndre Swift. You are obviously taking CEH here. I'm going to pass it to you first. We got the timer ready. What do you have on CEH this season?
It is very funny, you know, when you ask me this question, I'm like, who in their right mind would take DAndre Swift in this debate? For God's sakes, I don't understand. We're talking about a player in Clyde Edwards-Helaire who is the clear-cut lead back in potentially the best offense in the NFL. And I get it. He was a disappointment at cost last year. That was last year. And you're getting him at a reduced rate this year. He was a top 6 or 7 pick in fantasy last year, certainly no later than 10. And he disappointed. There was no question about it. But now you're getting him in the middle of the second round. This is a guy that before the Le'Veon Bell trade was averaging nearly 18 carries, saw about 5 targets per game, caught about 3.5 receptions per game to go along with a ton of yards, like averaged 115 scrimmage yards per game before the Le'Veon trade. I mean, we're talking 15 PPR points per game in just yards and catches. He's set up to do it again. So I just was like, I'm shocked that somebody would take DAndre Swift on this side of the debate, man.
Well, I'm here to blow your mind. It's not that I dislike CEH. I think he is absolutely phenomenal. My concern is about the ceiling. And my argument really for DAndre Swift is he has the potential to be the true focal point of this offense.
Right.
Where I don't think that's ever going to happen with CEH. There are games where he will just get lost in the shuffle because of, you know, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, those long touchdowns. They get drives cut short. I don't think that's going to be a concern in Detroit. I'm not expecting a lot of drives that end in the blink of an eye. And he really is, I believe, the best pass-catching weapon on that team. He's a guy that should see 80-plus targets and could bump up against, 100 potentially. And that kind of floor, again, it's very similar to CEH, but then I think he does have still a very high rushing floor, even with Jamal Williams. He doesn't overly concern me. There was always going to be another back there. And I do think with Swift seeing, potentially, I think as high as 65% of the touch load there, he bumps up against, RB1 territory. And I don't know if CEH really has, top 12, top 10 upside, although he is going to be rock solid this season.
Well, let me put it to you this way. You talk about not potentially having top 5, top 10 upside. And I would just completely disagree. If you were to take his per game averages, right? Again, this is pre-Le'Veon trade, okay?
Yeah.
And you were to average that out. And then again, touchdowns were an issue early part of the season last year. And that's still part of that narrative, I think, to your point, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, all those guys. And that's fine. But again, if you were to kind of sort of give him that full workload, and let's say we give him 8 touchdowns stretched over a 16-game schedule, he would have had close to 290 PPR points again. And I know it's a dangerous game, but to kind of sort of average out his first 6 games across a 16-game slate, 290 PPR points would have put him in a top 4 fantasy running back situation. And again, we're only giving him 8 touchdowns over a 16-game slate. I think there's a lot of upside for more than that. So really, it's a question of, do you want a running back who's going to get a smaller piece of a large offense or a larger piece of a small offense? Because Detroit may potentially have one of the worst offenses in the NFL.
I do agree, and that really is, I think, so CH is going ahead of DAndre Swift, so I am fighting a losing battle right now as it is. And it's because he is tied to the Chiefs, and again, he's going to be very good, but again, you look at what he did. He had, 2 points, or 2 games pre-Le'Veon Bell where he barely eclipsed that 20-point mark. There was 0, basically, league-winning weeks, and I do think, given the PPR upside of Swift, I do think that is in the cards for him. So when I'm looking, they're both going, beginning of the 3rd. Ideally, you're drafting them as your RB2. I don't think I'd want either as my RB1 personally. But when I'm drafting that RB2, I'm going to take the home run swing. And again, it's not that CEH necessarily doesn't have the ceiling. You made a phenomenal point there with just statting him out over that season. But I just am concerned about potential league-winning or week-winning performances. I don't know if that's in the cards for him.
The only other thing I would say about DAndre Swift, and again, it's whatever you feel about the talent, it's fine. But I don't think Detroit is going to be favored to win a single game this upcoming season.
Unless they have Houston. I don't know if they do.
Right. And without Deshaun Watson, too. But it's hey, listen, running backs on teams that trail, there is a phrase for this. It's called negative game script, right? Yep. And he's going to be facing negative game script on every single week. It's really, really difficult. Versus on the other side, CEH is going to be on a team that's either competitive, so balanced game script, or a positive game script where they're going to be trying to run out the clock. So in terms of potential opportunity, it's I feel like CEH is the safer floor with just as much upside because he's in a great offense. Meanwhile, DAndre Swift, while you're right, he's going to take home a larger portion of that offense. Man, I'll tell you what, it could be absolutely disastrous if Anthony Lynn and the coaching staff there say, you know what, we're trailing, we're going to throw in Jamal Williams as our pass-catching back, we're going to have to put down DAndre Swift. That's when it could get potentially turned into an absolute disaster for Swift, potentially.
You're not wrong, and again, you're dead on there. I mean, he is. I think you are correct. He is a riskier pick there, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell people he isn't risky because of Detroit's offense. But again, I just go back to that ceiling. He's a guy that he was RB18 last season in extremely limited work. Again, had some touchdown luck. He probably is not going to sustain that touchdown pace, but I do think you give him a larger workload. He still is he showed out to be a pretty good red zone back, even with the drop touchdown against Chicago in week 1, moving against him there. But you know what? You guys decide. Let us know who you think wins this season, CEH, DAndre Swift, and let us know who you have long-term in Dynasty even. Where do you guys land on that? James, I appreciate you hopping on, man. This was a great one. Again, I have a feeling this will be a hotly contested debate for a lot of people. Well, maybe not for you, but for others.
Right, exactly. I'm on Team CEH forever, man. I love it.
Through and through, I hear you. All right, everybody, again, if you aren't subscribed, 14 Personnel, YouTube, where you're watching it. Hit the bell, hit the like, drop a comment. Thanks, guys, and we will see you guys next week.